Hello everybody and welcome back to my YouTube channel, or welcome if you are new here. We are going to be talking about all things Kindle related in this video. So first off, I just wanted to start off this video by saying I have had my Kindle for over a year now and I have been dying to do this video. I wanted to make sure that I gave it some time so that way I truly knew all of the stuff on my Kindle and could really form a valid opinion. So first off, I just wanted to start off by saying what kind of Kindle I have. So I have the Kindle Paperwhite 11th Gen 16 gigabyte in agave green. I don't think they sell this one anymore. I went on Amazon to see if I could try to link it for you guys in the description box, and they don't sell this one anymore, but I will have one linked down below that is the same price that I got mine for. It's just the newer model that they've come out with. Pricing wise, I will say I got mine for $159. Actually, I think I got mine for cheaper than that. I got mine during Prime Day, so mine was cheaper, but the pricing for if you buy a Kindle with ads, it's $159, and then if you buy it with no ads, it's $179. I will note the color does not affect the pricing, so you can choose any color you please, and it's not going to make it more or less expensive based on what color you want. I chose the Kindle with ads, and my main thing was I didn't necessarily think I would care for having a Kindle with no ads, but if you decide after you've already paid for your Kindle that in a couple of months or even after you get it and you decide, I don't think I want the ads on my Kindle anymore, you can always pay that pricing later to have them removed, just like $20 or so. Once you purchase your Kindle, they offer 3 months free of Kindle Unlimited, and then after you can either decline it or renew it through Amazon. Kindle Unlimited is $12 a month. When I was doing a lot of research about getting a Kindle, because I thought a lot about it before I got one, that was the biggest sell for me, because as someone who reads really fast, and I love going to bookstores and just the whole experience of it, books can be really expensive if you're having to buy multiple books and you're going through them very quickly. For example, in June of this year, I read 7 books and they all averaged around $18, and that's not including pricing. I would have spent over $130 buying those in physical form. Now I understand getting special editions, or if you collect books, that's a different story. I totally still have physical copies on my shelf, and there's still books that I really want to get. If I truly love a book and I know I'm going to reread it, or I want to highlight or annotate or any of those things, I love it because I feel like I've saved so much money on Kindle Unlimited. And if you don't know what Kindle Unlimited is, it's a subscription where it's basically like Amazon has all of these books that you can download and read for free, and they get stored in your library. They take up no space, so you don't have to return them to the Kindle Unlimited store. If you don't want to, you can have a bunch of books downloaded. Another thing is the Libby app. If you don't know what the Libby app is, it's basically like a portal for your public library card, and I think there's another app called Hoopla or something like that. What you do is you just put in your library card information and it shows you what your public library has available. The only downside to Kindle Unlimited and Libby is Kindle Unlimited, it has those books and you get them right away. Libby, if there's a waiting line, you usually have to place a hold and wait in line until that book is available for you to read, and then you have to return it within a certain amount of days. So that is one of the most frustrating parts about Libby, so just keep that in mind if you're trying to decide if you want Kindle Unlimited or not. Now we are going to be talking about tips and tricks for your Kindle. There's a lot of things that your Kindle has to offer that I feel like I didn't even learn until having mine for a year. First things first, I chose a Kindle with ads, like I said, and sometimes it would irritate me because there would be some really weird ads that display on your Kindle. I'm talking those romance ads where it's you would really love this book and the cover is literally a shirtless man. I would literally have to deliberately make sure my Kindle wasn't just out, because I'm I don't want people thinking I'm reading this book. But there is a filter ads feature, and all you have to do is you pull down on your page, click the all settings, and then you click on your account icon, and at the bottom of the page you'll just select lock screen ads tab, and then you can toggle both of these options or one or the other. So on the options there is personalized ads, which basically that just means it recommends ads based on your reading or books that you've looked up that it thinks you would like, and usually they will just display on your screen. I want to note that they don't pop up while you're reading. You don't just get random ads while you're reading a book. They're mainly when your Kindle is turned off, it'll show ads. And then the other option is filter ads, and that will basically hide ads like the ones I was just talking about, to where you're like, I don't want people seeing that. So I have both of those turned on just because I like to know if a author that I've been really wanting to read finally signed with Kindle Unlimited and they have their books on there. So moving on to tip number 2, we have the show book cover options. And this is only available if you don't have ads. If you did purchase a Kindle with no ads, I'll go ahead and tell you how to put those on. And this basically just shows what book you're reading on the screen. I think this is really cool. So how you're going to do that is you're going to pull down on the page, you're going to go to all settings, screen and brightness, and if you have no ads, there will be a switch for you to toggle that says show covers on lock screen. So since I don't have this feature, I can't show you guys, but if you do have a Kindle with no ads, it will appear there. Tip number 3 is show clock while reading. I just recently discovered this and I love having it on my Kindle. I have a tendency to sit down and read a book, letting time slip away from me while I'm reading and realizing, wow, I've been reading for like an hour and a half. So if you want to turn this feature on, all you have to do is click on the page of your Kindle and then click the AA icon. You'll select more and then you can choose show clock while reading. This feature is literally the best thing ever and I can't believe I discovered it so late because I use it so much. Tip number 4 is dark mode. I personally love dark mode. I love having dark mode on at night when I'm reading. I just feel like it puts way less strain on your eyes than the normal page and having to turn the brightness up to read. So all you have to do is pull down on your screen and then select dark mode to turn it on. And then if you wake up the next day and you want to turn it off, you just have to select it again and it will turn it off. And then tip number 5 is brightness and warmth. Personally, me, if it's bright outside, I don't have the brightness or the warmth up at all. I feel like it's almost like literally looking at a page of a book. So I don't see a difference if it's bright outside or there's lights on in the room if I have the brightness up. So I feel like it just drains the battery if I can't see a difference. But if you're in a darker room or it's nighttime and you don't like the dark mode feature, you can just pull down on the page and either use the sliders or the plus and minus dials to adjust. And then another bonus feature is you can schedule when the warmth of your screen changes if you don't like having to do this manually. So you'll just click schedule and then you can choose your times and what you want the warmth feature to be at. And tip number 6 is looking up words. The amount of times I've had to do this, there will be sometimes I'm reading a book and an author will use a word that I've never heard before, and I usually in a physical book I would just skim past it or have to look it up on my phone because I'm like, I don't know what this word means and I don't even like understand the context. And so a really neat thing about Kindle is you can just hold down and it will pull up the meaning of the word and usually how to pronounce the word as well. And so I love this feature while I'm reading, especially if there's Spanish words, you can hold down and it'll translate for you. So tip number 7 is highlighting and note. When reading, sometimes there will be sentences or phrases that are like dotted underneath and it'll say the number of highlights. And it's basically like letting you know that this sentence, a ton of people have highlighted it. And I will catch myself highlighting something just because I'm like, oh my gosh, a bunch of people highlighted this. Like, this is so good. If you want to highlight something in your book that just sticks out to you, or you really loved the saying, or it just really touched you or made you emotional, or you just think it's cute, you will just hold down where you want to start the highlighting and then drag to where you want it to end. It should auto highlight for you. Sometimes when I'm highlighting something, I accidentally cut it too short or I overlap to something that I didn't mean to highlight. So if you want to delete that, you usually just click on what's highlighted and you can click delete. And then I love like annotating or adding cute little notes to things that I've highlighted. And so if you want to do that, if you want to add like something that made you laugh or why it stuck out to you or why it touched you, click on the highlight that you just made and click note, and you can just start typing whatever you please and it'll save it for you. Tip number 8 is Goodreads. And the reason I put Goodreads after notes and highlighting is because if you don't have the Goodreads app, 10 out of 10 recommend getting it, especially especially if you're a Kindle user, because you can just make an account. It's linked to your Amazon and your Kindle. Before you get your Kindle, if you don't have one, if you want this app, I recommend downloading it and creating an account beforehand, because then when you get your Kindle and you set it up, you can just link it all together. So Goodreads is really nice because you can read reviews on books, you can put what you're currently reading, books you've read, or books you want to read. The reason I love it so much is because when you do notes and highlights of a book, it will automatically go to your Goodreads account and tells you how many notes and highlights you did for that book. Another neat feature with Goodreads linking to your Kindle is when you start a book, it will automatically set it as currently reading. That way you don't have to remember to go into your app and put what you're currently reading, because sometimes that's just too much of a hassle. Okay, tip number 9 is the turn page animation. I love this because it makes turning the page almost feel smoother and more like paper-like for a book. You're going to click on your page, toggle the AA, and then click over to more, and you'll scroll down and select the turn page animation. Tip 10 is like very simple. I feel like most people know this, but it's just adjusting the font size. All you have to do is just use the zoom in motion to make your font size bigger, and then you pinch the screen to zoom back out. This is really nice, especially if you're reading at nighttime. Sometimes my eyes start to get really tired and I find myself zooming in just to make the font a little bit bigger. So it's just almost easier to read. Tip number 11, this is my favorite. So when you're reading on your Kindle, in the bottom left hand, it shows you multiple choices that you can choose from, how many minutes you have left in the chapter, or what page you're on. I personally like seeing how many more minutes I have left in a chapter, especially if I have somewhere to be. It's very helpful for like finding a stopping point in your book almost. So tip number 12 is dyslexic text. So this is very unique. I know quite a few people in my life who are dyslexic and they don't like reading because when they're reading, they just can't comprehend what they just read, or they're reading a book and their eyes are just all over the place and they're scattering everything. So I think it's so awesome that Kindle has this feature. If you want to turn on font that is dyslexic friendly and makes reading easier, you will just click on the page, select the AA icon, and then you're going to select the font section and choose font family. And there are tons of fonts to choose from, but this is where you can choose Open Dyslexic. I love my Kindle, you guys. I just love my Kindle. I used to think like, I don't know if I'm gonna love my Kindle because I love holding a physical book, and I still do. There are still books that I've gotten in physical copies, or if they're having a sale, I'll get one. I do think it's fun to collect books, but if you're more of just like a fast reader like me and you go through a lot of books, I think having a Kindle is the best thing ever. You can always download the Kindle app and do it through your tablet or your phone if you want to read books that way. The really neat thing is if authors have already put their books on Kindle Unlimited, 9 times out of 10, their newest release will also come out on Kindle Unlimited. So usually there's a section that says upcoming releases for you. And so I'll see releases that are going to be coming out soon that I can read as soon as they come out, which is really exciting. So those are just a few things that I love about my Kindle and some tips and tricks for you guys. I really hope this gave you some information on whether you want a Kindle or not. I love watching these videos. If you guys want me to do like a Kindle Unlimited, like books to read or recommendations, I can totally do that. And I can also do like Kindle accessories. There's a bunch of accessories that are like super useful and fun to use for your Kindle. So if you guys want to see more Kindle videos, just let me know in the comments below and I can totally do that for you guys. But that is all I have. So I will see you guys in my next video. Bye!